Hi guys and good morning. I thought I would do a quick live feed from the auction house because we are gearing up for our really big sale. Actually, it's all live for bidding right now. It ends on the 24th of this month, but I thought I'd do a little bit of an auction preview and show some of the great items that are going to be going up for sale and walk through why I think they're super cool. So let me flip the camera around. I'll show you what's going to be going through, and if you're interested, you can go to kauctions.ca and look for the Stan Reynolds Artifacts Collection sale, where we have items from our own collection, our own store, as well as items that came from the Stan Reynolds collection. It's quite a treat, so let me flip it around and do a live feed here at the auction. Okay, so a while ago I answered a call and I ended up buying a bunch of artifacts from Stan Reynolds. Now, they were in a basement of a house. I'm trying to get them back out in public eyes again. We do have all the paperwork for it, so there's all sorts of stuff. And apparently there are museums interested, and that's exactly where I'd love it to go, would be to a really serious collector, to a museum who's going to really take care of this stuff. But we have jade carved beaded necklaces that date back to around 250 to 900 AD. Or that Mayan time frame. They have just temporary sort of strings holding them together. There's coral, axe heads, lots of little miniature sculptures and pendants. This collection did come out of the Stan Reynolds collection, and he purchased it back in 1960, and luckily we have all the paperwork on this stuff from back in the day. This is one of my more favorite of the ancient pieces. This is pretty big. It's, I don't know, what is that? Probably about 10 inches across and about 5 inches tall. It's a matet, so for grinding on, but it's of a jaguar. And I just think that's just a beautiful little piece. There's our little seated figural guy, which people said it looks like he's just, you know, kind of hanging out. And then, of course, the Teotihuacan. I never say that quite right, I'm sure, but it's a Guerrero jade mask. It is life-size, so it likely would have been used to worship the sun god, or perhaps been buried at one point. But that was part of the collection as well. If you're into vintage firearms, there's a few interesting pieces here. There's an 1800s, I think it's a Swiss Vertelli rifle, bolt-action rifle. There's a Brown Bess musket, and there's a Civil War musket, which is just underneath here. This is an understated piece, and you might not think much of it. It's a ship in the bottle, yes, but it's a story behind it that's interesting. This came from, I think it was Mill Arms had a museum, or Alan Kerr had a museum. This was made by a German POW. So he was captured, he was sent to Canada, he was imprisoned in Canada during Second World War, and they used to give them sort of little projects to work on. So a German soldier interned at a Canadian POW camp made this ship in the bottle in his free time while he was stuck there. They used to work on beet farms kind of during the day, and at night they'd have these little things to work on. Really cool piece, and of course its stand is a piece of shell mounted on a base. Really crafty, really cool. But if you're gonna have a ship in the bottle, it's cool to have one like that. A lot of this POW art ended up going to the Royal Alberta Museum from that same collection, but we were able to get a piece for our store. So a museum quality piece, and I don't think really anybody's bidding on it right now, sadly, but that's a very, very good piece. We have a lot of collectibles and other items as well. These books date back to, I think it's 1640 or 1670, I'd have to double check. But it's a French translation of the Conquest of Alexander the Great. And you can see it's iron press plate, a very early printing press. And yeah, Monsieur de Vogler. I'm ruining the French language right now, but it is the Conquest of Alexander the Great, 2-volume set, both are there. There's little statues like this of this little girl who's trying on her mom's shoes. And she's actually close to 2 feet tall. That's a pretty big piece. And then there's carved, the poor, the poor German guy hanging out over his barrel. This is like kind of a Black Forest carved statue of a guy leaning over a barrel. There's some train lanterns, CNR, Canadian National Railway. That's a caboose lantern. This is a German World War II era. The guy that I got this from, his grandpa worked in the mines in Germany back in the day. And you can see it's a fire hand, Feuerhand. It's got a hand holding a bunch of flames. Cute little cash register, and it's full of, oh, I see, that's just a little bit stuck, but it's full of play money too. So it's got all this vintage play money, and it's a beautiful little antique style national cash register. As we walk around, you're going to see there's original silk screens by Fulger, Vasarely. There is a Picasso. Where's the Picasso? It's around here somewhere. Oh, this fellow is part of the Cobra movement. That is, it is a silk screen, but he also embellished it with, so it is a kind of an original as well. There's all sorts of cool stuff. This auction has a lot of really nice artwork that came out of the Wolchin Gallery that used to be here in Edmonton. This is a little steam tractor, and to give you an idea of perspective, well, there's my hand. Can you see how big this thing is? There's my hand next to the wheel. This is no small piece. So if you're bidding on this at home, know that it's I don't know, what, about 3.5 feet long and probably 2.5 feet tall. This would have been an operational steam tractor that ended up finding its way into my store. It was built by the fellow, I believe, that started McLeod Lumber Stores here in town back in the 30s. And you could probably have a little trailer or stand on it, you know, put your feet on that little space there and operate this thing to make it drive around. I used to go to farm shows as a kid and see those things and always thought that was really cool. It needs a little bit of TLC. Sadly, when our store got broken into, somebody, you know, they damaged some of the piping, but that's just plumbing. That should be able to be repaired. We have, you know, if you want an antique, this is out of a hospital from probably the 1900s. This is a carbon arc lamp, and it was a therapy lamp. And apparently there is, you know, it's not just quack medicinary. Apparently that does kind of work. You would kind of, if you had a, let's see, a wound or something and you shone that light on, you would help with healing. They say it does actually help promote healing. But it's just a cool curiosity, and there are people who could make that back into a lamp of some kind. Just look at how neat that thing looks. Anyway, it looks like something out of Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory. There's fossilized baculite tentacles. There's a firing signal cannon that came from Colonel Henry McKendrick. I got that from their estate a few years ago, and we had this on display at the store for a while. Really, really nice little piece. And yeah, it is a black powder firing cannon. There are some Wolf original statues. These are, they're molded after soapstone. We do have original soapstones here, but these are statues that were made to sort of mass produce the soapstone look. I'm going to walk around this side now. Of course, ye old ball and chain. There, you put this right on your ankle, something like that, and then you'd have to lug that thing around, go bust rocks for the county. There are old cameras. As you guys know, I have a lot of cameras at the shop. We brought some down for the sale. There are early Columbian artifacts, carved jade ashtrays, beaded indigenous necklaces, coal mine hat with the lantern. You find the lanterns, you never find it with the hat attached to it. There's an old spittoon, that's what that is. And coal mine lanterns, jade statue of a Asian goddess. Can't remember her name offhand right now. There's an Edison Graffinola, and this actually does work still. I was kind of cranking this over the other day. There are a few other books too, incidentally, if a person is interested in books and so forth. There's a lot of books. I'm going to try and get to some of the areas, but this is the basically the original record player here. I'm going to see, there we go. We're going to open that up. Thomas Edison's name right on it. This is the record. All these little grooves are on the outside of the cylinder. And then the name of your song is on this side. So that's the Apollo Quartet doing In the Garden. Now, to make these work, you crank it up on the side here, and you would start your lever. Comes out the horn. There would have been like a cloth speaker grill here. That's easy replacement, but it's cool that it's got Thomas Edison's name right on it, and it does work. So that's kind of a nifty piece. And if you end up buying that as a separate lot, there's a whole pile of extra records or graffinolas, amberola reels, I should say, that are going to be going up for grabs. If you're a sword collector, There's World War I German cavalry. There's King George III cavalry sword, which would be Napoleonic era. And you can see it's got his King George crown on it. It has the original scabbard. There's bayonets. This is a World War II German officer's sword. Unfortunately, it's got the swastika on there, but I mean, it's intact and as it should be, in near mint condition too. Really, really good shape. There's tomahawks that are, this tomahawk is probably a little bit more recent, but it is, it came from Saddle Lake, kind of Cree area. Got it off of former chief's estate about a year ago. Another lantern, HLP lantern. Let's see, is it marked? A lot of times these will be marked with what railway it was from. I believe this one is also a CP. It's Piper Lantern. Oh, CNR, Canadian National Railway. It's always good to have. Sometimes they don't have the railway line on there, but it's good when they do. This is an old fur trade axe, so I mean, that's going way back. This came out of the Stan Reynolds collection. Books and fossils, and there's even a tanker's complete military tanker's helmet and jumpsuit, you know, because why not? Ships, that is a good size ship. Again, for perspective, it's pretty big. Projectors, if you're a fan of scuba diving, are you for scuba? If you're for scuba, there's a Jacques Cousteau autograph picture. And there's a wall altar with candelabra, and look, it has this little sort, you can put a candle right in there. Has a little area inside there with the cross still intact. And lots of little fossils and bits and pieces, pith helmets. This is actually a really cool piece. This is a Richard Lacroix from 1966. His work was at the Museum of Modern Art. This is an original serigraph, signed and numbered. There's a Vasarely. My mom did this. My mom, Linda, painted this. I took this picture when I was probably about 18 years old or so. And she turned it into watercolor. So even one of my mom's paintings is here. Let's see. Oh, this is a half-hull ship model that is dated 1849, and it says Winterman and Pool Limited, which would have been sort of a mock-up of the ship they were building. It's really long. It's like 4.5 or 5 feet long. It's a big guy. But really cool. You could see it was a 3-masted schooner. If you're into nautical stuff, that's a really cool piece that you want to have. The auction website is kauctions.ca. All of this stuff is up for bidding right now as we speak, and will be up for bidding until the 24th. There's a little piece of bone that has a nice little bear carving in it. Let's see. I'm going to keep walking down here. This is a Verna Kemp original painting of a young Indigenous girl. Or I should say a pastel. There's signed original photographs. This fellow is actually a very well-known artist, Gerhard Reimann. And if you like coins, there are a ton of ancient coins. I mean, a ton of ancient coins. And some newer coins, too. You know, some of the newer stuff, like these 1900s American V nickels. There's silver quarters going back to the 1800s American quarters, and we're selling them kind of as a sheet like this. This piece is a 1955 silk screen or print of Picasso's Don Quixote. The original, of course, was an oil painting, a small one that was done and published in a book. Back in the 50s and 60s, they issued a number of these prints. This one had been in the family since the 50s. We got it framed beautifully. And just a lovely little piece if you want to have a Picasso serigraph or silkscreen from around that time. It's a really cool piece. The original, of course, worth millions of dollars, but these are still $1,500, $2,000 or so is what you can find those for. There's woven baskets, gourds that come from the Inuit areas. Again, more vintage books. This is a World War II RCAF doll, so a Royal Canadian Air Force doll that would have been given. Let's see. I will try and get back. I see somebody's asking to show the pre-Columbian roller stamps. Yeah, I will work my way over there. This is a Josh Coley. Signed Snow Geese. Really interesting Indigenous piece. Serigraph. There's some real little soapstones up here. And Henry Napartuk, an Inuit drawing that he did and is signed. These books are particularly interesting. This is the Tutelo tribe language, the original translation signed by Horatio Hale himself from 1883. He He was the last one to interview the last surviving member of this Tutelo tribe, which I think was in the eastern part of the U.S., and all of their language that he could get is translated in this book. That's the original. With that, there's also his book that he did on Indian migrations, is what it's called, and another early book on Indian migration. So really cool early indigenous pieces. There's a signed Yusuf, this is a Yosef Karsh photograph. You don't know who he is. Have you ever seen the photographs of like Einstein, and there's some really, Winston Churchill where he looks angry smoking a cigar? That's the photographer that did this. And it is signed by Mackenzie King, who is the subject matter of that photograph. There are some nice early Western pieces too. This is a C.M. Russell lithograph calendar from 1917. Now, C.M. Russell, very famous Western artist. And somewhere around here, there's actually a Frederick Remington that dates back to 1918. So it's a contemporary. I'm going to come over to it. I see it down here. All the art, I have a real soft spot for art. Here it is. So here we have, this is a 1908 Frederick Remington of the Belle Mare. And it's nicely framed. It's actually quite a good size print, but it's nice to find Remington items, Remington prints from when Remington was still alive, and that's what that is. That's a contemporary piece from when he was still around. Of course, speaking about other art that's going to be at the sale, we have my son, Stephen. Yes, I'm going to talk about my son's art. My son, Stephen, is using the proceeds from selling his art that he did at the sale to finance the rest of a vehicle which he's got his eyes on. So I really like the cow. It's probably one of my favorites that he's done. I really love that. And he's got this fun little ostrich here too. Anyway, you got to be proud of your kid. And his stuff is, being sold alongside a lot of other great artwork. And, proud of him for that. Plan on overthrowing a country? Well, there's your Ortega original medal sign for when he first took over as president. Daniel Ortega from, I guess that'd be like the 1970s. Just a really random assortment, from little toys to fishing spears. I'm going to come around and try and get a picture of the, somebody was asking about the roller seals. There we go there. I don't know if you can see them. So these are clay, and you would get an impression like you'd get a, like an ink basically. And as you roll it, it makes the pattern out. Be really cool to see those used again. I mean, not that you maybe would want to, but you could replicate them and get that sort of early pre-Columbian sort of look. Anyway, this is a sale that offers a lot of really interesting items. And I hope that some of you find it interesting. I'm going to flip this back around. So if you want to check out this auction sale, which is probably, it's about 600 lots or so. I think we tagged in some old hockey cards and stuff at the end, and some items that were left over from the musician sale. There's some jewelry there that didn't sell last time. This stuff is all up for auction, all up for grabs right now. So go to kauctions.ca. I mean, I didn't even talk about half the stuff that's here. I missed, talking about the Lanteca boarding cannon, the cigar cutter. I mean, there's just a ton of cool stuff. Anyway, go and check it out, guys. kauctions.ca. Look for the Stan Reynolds artifact sale. That is what's going on. So thank you guys for watching. I should have another video coming out soon. I have to go back to the house and do a whole big clear out there tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day for us, clearing out the house. So thank you so much for watching our channel and for watching all of this stuff go on. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see y'all soon, and bye for now.